Oh, it's a big day. It's like Christmas morning when you're only allowed occasionally to look at the next present and you have to wait until 8 o'clock to find out what the really big presents are. It is NFL schedule release day. We've had some schedules, some games already leaked out. There's a product to help that. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, joins us. He is the moderator also of the Pick Six podcast, your daily NFL podcast. No one better than that. All right, sir, how are you?
Doing well, man. How about you? Gotta get the last bastion of the NFL's greedy monolith.
No, it will not stop.
Taking over for like 6 weeks.
It will not. It will not stop.
The NFL. I mean, they have like a. I mean, it's ridiculous. They have announcements about the schedule announcement. They sort of turned the scheduling leak stuff, by the way, into basically what they did with free agency, which is tack on a couple extra days with legal tampering. Yeah. Because I mean, you're starting to see a little bit right now in the last hour or so. Beat reporters really starting to find some of the stuff. Like we just found out that the Dolphins,
yes,
Matt Schneiderman of the Athletic, the Dolphins are going to be at the Packers on Thanksgiving night.
Yep,
which is pretty spicy. It's a spicy game.
I like it. No, look, here's the thing. I think first of all, the NFL has done better at marketing by a million miles than any other league.
Yes.
They absolutely crush this element. They know people are interested, and they know how to.
We already know all of these games.
Right? Like we just don't know when.
For like a year. The second the season ends, you know who every team's opponents are for the coming season.
And they tell you home and away. It's because it's a formula. You know who the home games, unless they take your game away from you and bring it to a foreign country.
In fact, the only ones that are even up for debate until the season ends are standings related, where if you win your division, you play the first place teams in the conference from the other divisions. So like that's the only jockeying there is. Other than that, it's like for the Panthers, you already know who you got next year.
Pretty much.
Last place teams from the NFC.
Very good. So yes, but I love this element of it. Like now, when the NFL starts reaching into everybody's pocket for other ways at the expense of the health of their players, then I've got issues with it. But this, I mean, to me, I think this is fun, and I am happy. I am happy to play a role in the hype machine because I love schedules. I'm a big fan. I like talking about them. I like looking at them. I think it's cool. I like helmet schedules. I like all that. So we know some things. We know the opener. Baltimore at Kansas City is an incredible opening game on that Thursday night. The next night, what is it, the Packers and Eagles in Brazil, right?
On Friday, yep.
Okay.
First ever game in Brazil. Yep.
Awesome. I'm sure the people in Brazil are fired up for it. Anyway, I mean, I'm not going, but that's okay. We know the other European games. We know the fact that the Panthers are going to play the Giants in Germany at Bayern Munich's stadium. Allianz Stadium, I think it's called. So we know that. Yes. We know the fact that the Jaguars are playing 2 games again back-to-back weeks, which is patently unfair to the team they are playing in week 2, but that happened this past year because Shad Khan has always said, yeah, we'll play as many games in London as you want, and the NFL is obliged. But what else? We now know that they're playing a game on Christmas night, and it'll be on Netflix.
They're playing it. There's going to be a doubleheader on Christmas. I would tack on the opener with the Chiefs. I would say that I think it's really interesting from a scheduling perspective that we have the Chiefs hosting the Ravens on Thursday to open the season, and then the following Sunday the Chiefs go to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. And what's interesting about that is, obviously, with the Ravens game, you have unlimited time leading up to it to prepare for that team, and then you have an extra 10 days to prepare for the Bengals. Giving Andy Reid a mini bye, you've got the Ravens who are retooling. They lose their defensive coordinator, a lot of pieces overall, and then the Bengals really have started slow. Each of the last 4 years, I think, whether Joe Burrow's been banged up or the offense hadn't gotten going, they lost their offensive coordinator, have some offensive line changes they're dealing with. So it's a pretty massive advantage for Kansas City, who, Patrick Mahomes 15-4 in his career in September, 56-6 touchdown to interception ratio in the month of September in his career, which is just absurd.
Yeah.
And so now you get these two early games against AFC North, AFC contenders who, you get down to December, and that's a pretty big advantage for the tiebreaks.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, of course, they lost their opener last year to Detroit. Sure. So, and at one point there was, you looked at the Chiefs in the standings and you went, they could miss the playoffs. And then, of course, they didn't. And then they won the Super Bowl.
Patrick Mahomes is Thanos. He's inevitable.
Hey, look, I'm all about it. Oh, that's right. There are 2 games on Christmas Day, the second of which will be at night on Netflix. And look,
both games are on Netflix.
Oh, they are both on Netflix. Did that come out of nowhere?
No. It was rumored that Netflix was in talks with the NFL about the games, and then the NFL was sort of going back and forth with the other networks.
How does Amazon feel about that?
Well, I mean, Amazon gets every Thursday night, so
and a playoff game.
Think about it. Think about what the NFL has done now. They've obviously got ABC/ESPN,
right?
NBC, CBS, and Fox on big deals. But they have successfully, over the course, and they locked them up over recent broadcast contracts, they've now successfully integrated Google with YouTube TV and the Sunday Ticket. They have brought Amazon into the fold for the long haul with Thursday Night Football, which they do well. I mean, you might not like watching them, but they do well. And then Netflix has jumped in with the Christmas stuff. And so I think I have to go back and look at just to confirm the press release, but I think Netflix has signed up for 2 games each of the next 3 years. So you have Christmas on Wednesday, Christmas on Friday in 2025, and then in 2026, Christmas is on a Thursday. I would assume that Amazon is still going to get that Thursday night game, but I have to double check that. Netflix basically bought Christmas. So happy birthday, Jesus. As Ann Brinson likes to say, football is not family. I don't. She's like
but it's your family, and that's and what's your family should be your mom's family. Look, what it is. The NFL is going to try to put a game on every day at some point. Back during the pandemic, we did have games on Tuesday and Wednesday occasionally because of COVID, but. I wouldn't be surprised.
And I think it's worth pointing out, Adam, that there was like congressional law that was passed, an antitrust law back in the day, like a long time ago. I think it was in the 30s or 40s, maybe a little bit, but whatever the point. Maybe it's the 60s, whatever. Point being is it was designed to keep the NFL from really infringing on Friday night high school football and then Saturday college football. Well, now I think when you see college football going out there and taking whether it's the SEC or the Big Ten, not really the ACC, or the college football playoff, right? Taking a big chunk of budget for live sports from these companies like CBS, like NBC, Fox, and of course, the mouse. I think the NFL is sort of saying, all right, college football is not this little antiquated thing. This is weird. They scheduled 2 games against the college football playoff directly.
Right.
I think they're saying they're sort of starting to push back on the idea that college football, that the NFL doesn't need to infringe on college football, and that the two can kind of coexist on the same day more often than they did before.
Well, the NFL clearly doesn't care. They don't care.
They don't care about anything.
I mean, the NBA has had Christmas Day forever, and I mean, since I was in college was when the Christmas Day game started. It used to be one game. And almost every year it seemed to be Celtics and Knicks. The Knicks were good at the time. The Celtics basically have always been good. And that was the game we would get every Christmas Day, Patrick Ewing versus Larry Bird. And everybody would watch. That was the one game. Now we have 5, which is probably 3 too many on Christmas Day. And now the NFL has given us 2 games. Even though it's a Wednesday, are teams going to get buys the week before? And I think by that time of the year, we're done with buys.
No. The Steelers are about to. I think the Steelers are going to have 3 games in. It might be 10 days. It's definitely going to be a Saturday game against the Chiefs, and then a Christmas Day game. It sounds like, according to reports. So you're looking at a Saturday to Wednesday turnaround, which is just outrageous. But again, like you said, I mean, the bottom line is the NFL simply doesn't care.
Right. They don't care about the health of the players. They don't.
Well, no, of course not.
They don't.
That's a farce. They care about making money.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell's been charged with $25 billion. I think I read this. I'm trying to think who wrote it, but it was like the owners want him to get to $25 billion in revenue per year. And, that involves speaking out of both sides of your mouth by saying, of course, we care about player safety, and then scheduling Christmas games and having, negotiating with Netflix in an attempt to drive up the bargaining price from other networks.
Right, and getting to 18 games in the schedule, which they're going to do.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Right,
I mean, look, 18 games if you go to 2 buys is better than 17 games with 1 buy. But 16 games definitely, if you're ranking it, 16 games the best. But I would say players would prefer 18 games 2 buys to 17 games 1 buy.
I do agree with that. I think that if you ask players to design the schedule, it would be 16 games with a bye or 16 games with 2 buys. And the notion that the NFL, well, we tried 2 buys during a 16-game season, and the networks didn't like it. I'm like, well, the networks didn't like it because it was new then. We had fewer teams then. And right now, the networks wouldn't like it because we're playing games on almost every day of the week at some point during the season. So maybe the networks would be okay on Sundays if we weren't taking 2 teams and playing them on Thursday or playing a Saturday game at some point, at points during the season. But that's just... that's sort of like Roger Goodell's argument that he'd rather play a regular season game than a preseason game, as though those two things can conflate.
Well, and again, you're going to see this in the CBA negotiations or before the negotiations, where they're going to say we're going to 18 games, and when the NFLPA is like, you can't do that, they're like, we're going to give an extra bye. So it's like it's just. It like it or not, it's just coming. And so,
right. Even though in the CBA apparently says you can't do it, they will do it and pretend to give the players more money, even though more games will ultimately shorten careers. But that's another story altogether. Will Brinson, I can't wait. And the best part about the schedule release days are the teams that will create the great videos. Real quick, do you have a favorite one of those videos? Because I know I have one of my own.
Well, I mean, the Chargers are always awesome. They do funny stuff, whether it's like anime. The Titans going down to Broadway and getting the Titans is the winner probably.
Yes, with people on the street, just show them the logo. What is this? Oh, yes, that's a bunny. Whatever. So great. So great. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, my friend. Happy schedule release day to you.
Hey, danke schön, buddy.
At Will Brinson on Twitter. I'll talk to you later, man.